And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Tuesday, May 13th. Gotta rep the brand, baby. Bing bong. I've been here the whole time. Josh Engleman. 2-game slate. Coming off of yesterday's sadness. Pacers, 7.5-point dogs in Cleveland, 230 total. Denver, 10.5-point dogs in OKC. 221 total. Hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe to the channel, the notification bell, so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's up, everybody? What's going on? What happened? My Knicks up 3-1 on the Celtics. Just looking incredible. Absolutely nothing else going on. Absolutely nothing else happening. Nah, we got a lot to talk about to start, and it's certainly not about today's slate. Seems like for anybody that wasn't paying attention yesterday, it seems like Jason Tatum tore his Achilles, and that's going to be it. And that sucks, man. Like, I don't care about bets. I don't care about favorite teams. None of it matters. It's just, it's really awful to see one of the best young stars in the NBA, a guy that rarely hurt. I mean, we're talking about one of the healthiest stars that exist. And just like that, we're wiping out 18 months of his career. And we're gonna change the entire scope of the league. Everything's different now. Everything's different. This changes the outlook of Boston. This changes the outlook of Oklahoma City. I tweeted it last night as like I don't want to say joke, but like, you know, a deeper joke. Jason Tatum tearing his Achilles probably means that Oklahoma City never explores a Giannis trade. It changes the East. You've got a Cleveland team sitting 3-1 today, down 3-1 today, who were probably looking at like, maybe we got to do something this summer. Now we've got a Cleveland team stepping into the summer thinking, are we just the best team? And it takes a little tweak? I don't know. Pacers? Knicks? Is that what we're going to have as a Eastern Conference Finals with those two teams patiently waiting to get destroyed by Oklahoma City? You guys could all pipe down about Minnesota, by the way. We're not even doing that right now. We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. It sucks. It just sucks. It's not good for the league. And it's just an absolute bummer to see the top player of, we'll say whatever we want to say, one of the top teams. And now he's just done, most likely, for certainly next year. I can't imagine the year after that is awesome. We've got a Celtics team that are so far above the second apron, they can't even see it. And now they have just accelerated their decision-making process by like a full 12 months. Because if the Boston Celtics went to the finals this year, won the finals this year, whatever, I'm not confident they would have tried to shed a ton of salary for next year. They could have, you know, maybe you do it on the margins. But they would have had to do it the following year, unless you just keep ripping off titles. That's besides the point. But like, they were eventually going to come to a point where they needed to get back out of the second apron, full stop. This just accelerated that. There's not really any incentive to not do it now during the summer. So in this case, all bets are off. Is Jaylen Brown a Celtic next year? Is Al Horford a Celtic next year? Is Drew Holiday a Celtic next year? Is Kristaps Porzingis a Celtic next year? Everything's on the table for Boston. Every single thing is on the table. Steven, Horford could retire or ask for a let me finish with a contender. I mean, I don't know. If I'm Al Horford, I don't know why I would retire. He's a free agent. Al Horford can go anywhere. You think he couldn't be the center for the Lakers right now? I mean, that's a dream scenario for a patchwork. Like, if you want to try to go a different direction. But I mean, Al Horford can go anywhere right now. He will be in demand. Al Horford can make a lot of money next season, for sure. So I assume he wants to be back. If he wants to try to win a title. Maybe he only wants to be in Boston. Maybe he doesn't want to work anymore. All of that could be certainly possible. But he's good enough to keep playing, and he'd be leaving 8 figures of salary on the table. At least for next year. So we'll see. Look, if he wants to retire, by all means, man, go sit it out. You've had an incredible career. You're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Full stop. There's not really any scenario where Al Horford doesn't waltz into a Hall of Fame. So, if you want to pack it in, I certainly get it. Certainly get it. 30-0, you are quite mistaken in basically everything you've said so far in chat, which that's not really super surprising. It just stinks. Have you guys seen the line for Game 5? Because I'm quite confident that most people wouldn't have said that's what it is. But currently, the Boston Celtics are 4.5-point favorites in Game 5. I'm going to say something out loud that everybody's going to disagree with. But the Boston Celtics without Jason Tatum are equal to the Knicks. Slightly better than the Knicks, still. No one's going to agree. Everybody's going to talk a bunch of smack. I could already see it in the comments, but these are now equal teams. It just so happens that the Knicks are up 3-1, and that's going to be incredibly helpful. But if this happened to be 2-2 right now, I think it would be a very sobering realization looking at what series prices and betting lines would have been. But we're not going to see that because it's 3-1. I mean, at this point now, I am desperately cheering for the Indiana Pacers to make the finals, but I don't expect Boston to rip off 3 games in a row. It is certainly in the cards, but I don't have that same sort of confidence I had earlier. So, it is kind of a bummer. The Golden State-Minnesota series is nothing at this point. If there's no Steph, Golden State's just never going to be able to do it. Well, king of all trades, I highly recommend you go bet the Knicks because they're underdogs in Game 5, so the public doesn't agree with what you just said. Lamar People says, I don't think Drew Holiday is healthy. I mean, they're going to need Drew Holiday to set the clock back. I think he's a very important piece of this if they do anything, because anytime he gets Jalen Brunson now, he's got to go. He's got to look for himself. They weren't going to the Drew on Brunson matchup all that frequently because you go to the other guys. Now, I think you have to try to abuse Jalen Brunson for the next 3 games if you can. And I mean aggressively abuse him. You put him in everything, every time, and don't stop. If it's not him, it's Towns. All the time. You have to pick the scabs bad now. No, this just saved Tibbs' job indirectly, which is hysterical. Although I will be very happy if Boston wins game 5, 6, and 7. I guarantee Tom Thibodeau is not the coach of the New York Knicks, and I'm eating lunch and smoking a joint on Greg's dime. Guaranteed. You can book that one. I just don't think they're going to lose now. But yes, if they dump those 3, there's no shot Tibbs is coming back. It does make me feel better about the success of my bet if it wins. I just don't, it's way less likely to win now. Yeah, Steven, that's really the problem. He's a great guy, by all accounts. He clearly dedicates his life to the game. Seems to be a really good ambassador of the game. Just blows. Just blows. Why is everybody so married to this Minnesota Timberwolves team? I don't get it. Do you guys just really not like clearly picking the best team? I'll never understand it. I feel like the entire, I feel like everybody just hates Oklahoma City for some reason. They're 10.5-point favorites today. They are minus 105 to win the NBA title. The Wolves are 600. OKC is minus 195 to win the West. We got to remember here, Oklahoma City is not like anything that's left at this point. Significantly better than everybody by far. Maybe because the series is even? Well, maybe we shouldn't use 4 games to think we understand what things are. CTG Policia, Crimea River, can we get to the slate? No. I'll sit here for 45 more minutes and do this. Adios. The people want ant versus cat. I don't think anybody wants that. I don't think anybody craves ant versus cat. It's crazy. Giannis Antetokounmpo is just not going to go to Oklahoma City now. All because Jason Tatum got hurt in a game in New York. The butterfly effect of all of this is bonkers. Things are measured by results. Yeah, I can tell you the type of person that usually measures things by results. Lamar, they're not. I don't have a take. Yeah, I guess let me hit the lottery quick because I don't really have anything to say. There's no take. It's just the lottery. They were the team I wanted to win the lottery the least, and then they did it. And then they did it. They don't deserve it. It sucks that they're getting him. I hope they screw it up in some way. I don't know what the team is supposed to be moving forward. Nothing fits correctly based on what they have now. Maybe that looks different, you know, after the summer. But they got a lot of moves left to make. I assume Derek Lively plays for a different team next year, or Daniel Gafford. One of them's got to go. I don't know who it's going to be, but somebody's got to go. You know, I would have greatly preferred San Antonio to win it. That's way more fun for the league. I think it's... I just don't know what Dallas becomes. Too many people think they could rely on Kyrie Irving next year. That doesn't make a single bit of sense to me. I have no idea. That's insane. He's a 0 next year. You can't plan for anything. And if we're talking about the next year, then what are we talking about? A league average point guard? What salary is he making? He's on a player option right now. So they need to figure that one out. But if you're not playing Cooper Flagg at the 4 and AD at the 5 primarily, then you're not allocating your people correctly. You have 2 other centers that could start for the other teams in the league. What do you do there? I certainly don't trust Nico Harrison to be the guy to navigate rebuilding this roster right now. But whatever Dallas looks like today is going to be night and day to October 1st of 2025. Steven, not only that, Kyrie, 34 the season after next, coming off an injury and never healthy anyway. I mean, this guy plays 50 games a year. Any chance they trade the pick? Here's what I'm going to say, and it's the only thing that everybody can say. The answer should be unequivocally no. I also would have said that the chances that they traded Luka Doncic for nothing was also no. So 1% chance they trade the pick because of stupidity. They shouldn't. It would be insane to. There's no real, like, you don't trade the first pick for guys like Cooper Flagg. You want to trade the first pick when you're drafting Zachary Risachet or Alex Sarr? Okay. You don't when it's a Cooper Flagg pedigree. Yeah, Travis, they will. And that'll be dumb. That'll be really, really dumb. It won't matter in the regular season, but it's dumb. It's also just allocating your resources very poorly. I don't think that Cooper Flagg is a generational talent, by the way, in the same way as Luka. I think Cooper Flagg's destiny is like, what's the best way to describe him? Like a really big Derek White. I don't mean like play style, but like, see this with me. Like, I don't expect it to be #1 offensive creator on a high-end playoff team, guy you just toss the ball and go. Like, I don't see him like an actualized version of Paolo Banchero. But I do see Cooper Flagg fitting with everybody always. Up and down the line, guarding multiple positions, enough offensive ability to do a bunch of different things, but not the guy that you just like corner the market on. To me, that's equally as valuable because of the things that you can start to put around him. You can look in multiple directions and you don't get boxed out of it in any way. But like, I don't look at them the same way, but it's a lot, as weird as it sounds, it's a lot easier to build around Cooper Flagg. Almost made. Yeah, he really can't be. And I know that sounds like it's a real stupid statement, but I'm going to back it up with a little bit here. It depends how you want to justify or define bust. Like, obviously, let's throw injury and that kind of stuff out, because obviously that can take out anybody. I think now we have enough data and enough predictability coming out for some of these guys that have enough information where, yes, we can, if we want to call, say, bust as in like not ultimately worth the #1 pick or like below average #1 pick, that I can, then we're on the same page here for bust. But like, I think now for somebody like Cooper Flagg, I think we can be really confident about his floor. And I think his floor is, barring injuries, like a final 7 to 8 rotation guy on really good teams in the playoffs for years and years. That might not ultimately end up being what the number one pick is worth. You know, if you're taking the average number one pick, I believe the number one average, or the average overall number one pick, is like the career of Andrew Bogut or something. So we can call, I'm happy to call that a bust, but like, he's not a guy that has wild card outcomes. Like if, like Alex Sarr, for instance, where you can see it that going the wrong direction a year ago, and you can see what that ceiling's going to be. I don't think there's a wrong direction for Flag barring injury or drugs or stuff, you know? Like, he'll fit forever. S&P, I don't think they were comparable though. Like, let me see. 15. Give me 1 second. I'll be able to compare them quickly. Sorry, my screen's not refreshing. Then we're going to get into the slate. I don't have a ton to say. It's, you know, game 5, a 2 series we've seen for weeks. So, S&P. Flag, clearly better defender. 15 BPM in this season for Duke. Reed Sheppard finished at 10.9. There's not too many people that have had college seasons better than Flags as a freshman. He's on a different tier. Plus, the size of him is a very different thing. All right, let's get into it. We'll take a quick lap through all this stuff. Obviously, there's a wild card in this one that we're going to have to wait on. Pacers, 7.5 point dogs in Cleveland, 230 total. We continue to just see, like, it's weird. It's weird that the Pacers are just this big of dogs. But now we're here. 35% ownership coming into Siakam and Turner. 20% to 25% on Halliburton, Nembhard, Nesmith, Mathurin, and McConnell. A little bit more for Obi Toppin. S&P, if it helps, I don't think that Reed Sheppard has any bust in him still. But that's a conversation for another day. People are already salty. We're talking about basketball on a basketball show. I could do this show as a DFS show as a short today. People are mad we're not going to get 60 minutes worth of a 2-game breakdown in game 5 for both of them. There's not much to say for Indiana. We have to assume Benedict Mathurin doesn't get himself thrown out again. But this is not a team that, like, does different stuff. This is not a team that's wildly changing their rotations. They're up 3-1, so they're probably more likely to hold serve than anything else here today. I've got a pretty decent chunk of Miles Turner at 6,100. I think he looks like a really nice value right now, coming in as the number 4 guy in the boom bust tool. He is also the most owned guy on the team. 35%. We got him 37% optimal. I have way too much Obi Toppin, power forward center, 3,500, 27% owned. Clearly, slightly bit of an outlier for him last time out, considering the Benedict Mathurin situation. Once again, a little light on Halliburton. Nembhard at 24% owned feels a little high. Nesmith, not my guy right now. I am finding it... I don't necessarily love Indiana today. I guess I should say that. Because this is a spot where Cleveland obviously has their back against the wall. They are more incentivized to really go hard. Indy knows that if this goes wrong, they're still up 3-2 heading home. So this is a natural spot for me to like not want as much of the Pacers. I don't really know what to do with that though. Because at the same time, if we get news in Cleveland that Donovan Mitchell is out, everything I'm saying right now changes. These guys look different. The slate changes because Donovan Mitchell is out and we're reallocating all of his minutes and usage and whatever to the rest of Cleveland. Binking, I agree with you, but it's also just natural in these spots. You see it in the lines for games, generally speaking, as you get deeper into these series, where there is something to teams being the team that can go home because they are more likely to unload their full barrel than the opposite team. From a DFS perspective, that makes a lot of sense to me and makes you slightly more interested than in Cleveland. As of right now, ownership is as balanced as it gets. It's 50-50 to both games, and the spread of ownership is only 182%, which is the low end, and Denver, to 218%, which is the high end to OKC. So pretty much every team is like 25% owned. So I do kind of prefer Cleveland in this matchup. But what I prefer of Cleveland in this matchup will completely depend on Donovan Mitchell. On the FanDuel side for Indy, it's even flatter. You get to 38% ownership on Tyrese Halliburton. He's just a more interesting play on FanDuel because of the way you need to roster these guys. And then it's 30% to Nembhard, Nesmith, Siakam, 25 to Mathurin and McConnell, 20 to Toppin. We know the guys we're going to in this series. And we know that Indy isn't really going to mess with their rotation at all. That kind of puts me in a spot where I'm like not super interested in them. I do think the boom scores here are very telling. 8% for Nesmith, 8% for Mathurin, 8% for McConnell. Where you're really seeing it is Turner, Siakam, and Halliburton. So I'm not too upset being lighter on the rest of these Pacers guys. That's definitely more TJ McConnell than I want. Ivan got yokes. I was looking forward to Boston OKC, but an Indy New York Knicks Eastern Conference final will be a battle. Yeah, it will. Look, it's going to be like the finals of the best JV tournament you've ever seen. Right? Man, people are going to kill me. Oh, well. Oh, well. Oh, I can close that tab, too. Good. All right, let's hop over to Cleveland. Because this is the spot where we have no idea what we're doing right now. Donovan Mitchell's questionable. He was potentially injured in the previous game. All right, let me not say it like that. He was definitely injured in the previous game. The question remains, did the game itself keep him from coming back? Because at the time, they were down by 41. And that's the part that makes me not really have any idea how to approach this to start the day. Because they really didn't have any incentive to even test Donovan Mitchell's ankle in the second half of that game. If you're down by 41, you're probably not coming back. So like, if he's in, I don't know how healthy the ankle feels. I assume, I don't know. Right now, I assume he's playing. But how compromised is he? I have no idea. Now, if that game were close and he didn't come back, then I'd be nervous today. But because they were getting their asses kicked, then maybe taking that second half off, not adding any more miles to it, and getting treatment for the past 2 days will be enough. I don't know. I don't know. But obviously this impacts the entire slate, because if Mitchell's in, then we're not creating more value in Hunter and Jerome and Merrill and Wade, and we're not increasing usage for Garland and Mobley and Strus. So the trickle down to Cleveland is everything. Right now, these guys are all pretty balanced. It's really focused in the first 5 guys and DeAndre Hunter. But none of it matters right now. Now, if he's in, I'm terrified to get to him. I would rather get to Darius Garland. I would rather get to Max Strus. I would rather get to Evan Mobley. I would likely be fading Donovan Mitchell. But who knows? Nikki Diamonds, if Mitchell is out, how do you prefer to approach this game from a DFS perspective? Would you play for a blowout and make it a point to roster more indie bench guys, or would you jam Cleveland starters? You're not going to like this answer, but I wouldn't make it a point to make a plan of what I would do. I would just do whatever our incredible tools gave me. I don't approach DFS like that, or that's probably just going to make me worse. So it would be whatever came out of the incredible tools at Stokastic.com, which you could sign up for by clicking the link in the description of this video. You can approach your slate with those ideas using the simulation tools. You can do both of those things if you want. You could run the sims, go all the way through, get ready to start picking your lineups, and maybe in your mind you're like, all right, I'm playing for a blowout because Mitchell leaves after 2 minutes. And you boost Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill, and you negatively boost some other guys, and then you take your lineups. If you want to do it that way, that'll work. But I don't think about it that way. The construction of my lineups is just what happens. But if he's out, we get a bunch of value off the bench. If he's in, we focus on the starters plus Hunter, and then we cross our fingers that Mitchell plays the whole way. Otherwise, the bench becomes a thing. But I don't really have too much else to say here for Cleveland. They are getting a bit more ownership on the FanDuel side. Garland, Mitchell, and Mobley are all 45. Strus is just shy of 40. Hunter and Allen both got to around 25. But context-wise for this one, it's the first game. We'll talk about it on Live Before Lock, and we don't know the status of arguably the best player in this series. You could tell me you'd prefer Halliburton or Mobley as an overall basketball player, but you know what I mean. Giant impact. All right, let me shake up this Gatorade a little bit. I don't know if I got the powder all shook up. Oh. And then we're going to move on to Denver OKC. Gotta say, don't like this one for Denver today. 10.5 point dogs. 221 total. And I think it all just comes down to the same thing I've thought it's coming down to for every other game. Nikola Jokic. Now, This will be an interesting barometer of knowledge because it hasn't been a good series for Nikola Jokic, at least from a stat line perspective. However, if they're going to win, I think it's eventually going to happen on the back of something slightly bigger out of them. Can we talk about what a great move getting Hartenstein was for OKC? It was exceptional. It was exceptional. They won the offseason. Their only mistake, and it might not even be a mistake now, is that they didn't get a second creator for the bench, which I don't think would have cost them anything of value. That's it. It's my only concern. They look... I mean, let me look at this. How much did Oklahoma City's odds to win the NBA title rise when Jason Tatum got hurt? So, what time is this? All right, in the past, nope, 6 hours is too much. 1 day. All right, at just before the injury, OKC was like 40% to win the NBA title on Polymarket, and now they're 49. So Jason Tatum exploding in the Boston game increased the Oklahoma City Thunder odds of winning by like 22% relatively. Travis, they couldn't have. Unless you mean a just lottery pick. Good work, S&P. You guys can see it on the screen right now. I'm jamming Jokic. I've jammed Jokic every series. He's in 83% of my stuff. He's got the highest raw point ceiling of anybody. When I play 2-game slates, the most likely scenario is that I end up with Jokic. Look at the ownership to the rest of the starters, though. 29, 31, 30, and 29. I mean, talk about balance here. Even the booms are barely separated. 17, 14, 14, 13. You're crossing guard and forward and power forward and center. And it's Jokic, tier 1, number 1 for me. And then your guess is as good as mine which of the next 4 guys you want to take for Denver out of the starters. I'm less interested in Russell Westbrook because as these series go on, they're more likely to let him do the things he sucks at. Peyton Watson doesn't seem to be a guy that I'm all that interested in. So my 2 biggest stands here are MPJ and Nikola Jokic. But MPJ is just as likely to go out there and put up a stink bomb as he is to do anything good. Pat J, if that's a reference to Jokic, it's really easy to know what happened. He's facing arguably the best defense in the history of basketball. They have 2 ultra plus defenders with size, different statures, along with a sea of incredible perimeter defenders. Nikola Jokic has never seen a challenge like this in his life. This is the hardest thing he'll ever do in the NBA. Face this Oklahoma City team. There is no worse matchup, and I'm not sure you could put together a worse matchup. So, he's just trying to crack the code with not nearly enough talent on his team. Is MPJ getting the shot today? Like the COVID vaccine? Jokic is missing gimme layups. Can we stop making excuses? They are beating the living shit out of that dude for 44 minutes a night. He played against Team USA, right? I would argue that this defense is better than Team USA, but I'd have to think about it depending on which 5 guys were on the team. But I would argue, in my mind, this is a better defense. By like a lot, too. '24 Olympic team. Hold on. Okay. LeBron, Steph, Durant, Embiid, Tatum, AD, Edwards, Booker, Drew, Halliburton, White, White. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma City is a much better defensive team than the Olympic team was. It's not even close. Not even close. What's the best you're putting out there then? Like, at that time, Tatum, who's not playing, Embiid, AD, Ant, Drew, like, I don't know, LeBron. Yeah, OKC is very clearly a better team defense. That's not even remotely close. So, yeah, this is the hardest defensive team Nikola Jokic will likely ever face in his career. And yet I'm going to have 83% of them if I had to enter the contest right now because it's not even close. Michael, I mean this sincerely. I'm going to never, ever, ever read anything you say in chat again. So, vaya con Dios. Ownership for Denver on the FanDuel side. 38% Jamal Murray. 34% to Jokic. Remember, only one center spot, and he's in a third of the lineups. Round 30 for Brown and Porter. 20 for Gordon. Westbrook still getting some love. No love for Peyton Watson. I just still want Jokic here. I don't love Murray. I'm going to continue to say that. The same way I don't love Jalen Brunson in most series. But people can make shots from time to time. And Jalen Brunson had one of those yesterday. That was a shot-making clinic. Him and Bridges. But I just don't like getting to these ball-dominant guards when you could throw 100 different incredible defenders at them. So I'd like to have more Christian Brown. I'd like to have more Michael Porter Jr. I'd like to have more Aaron Gordon, but I will live and die with Nikola Jokic today. The problem is I got to live and die with Nikola Jokic, and I don't think they win the game. Thank you, Travis. No one's going to give me credit for that one. So, OKC. Technically speaking, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the #1 play on DraftKings. 10K, point guard only, 42% optimal, 40% owned. Ranks #1 in the boom bust tool. So Binking asks, how could we ever not play Jokic on a 2-game slate? I think I just said it. It's because you're going to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Because there are plenty of other center options. You get the value out of Miles Turner. Obviously, Cleveland has some options, and those centers could look even better if Donovan Mitchell ends up out. You've got Chet. You've got Hartenstein here. Jalen Williams with a Y if you want to punt for value and hope for foul trouble or something. But right now, I am still getting to Shai, and I think that is the most interesting piece of everything we see so far. I'm neutral to the field on Shai at 40%. You guys already know that I'm well over the field on Nikola Jokic at 11-4. So, to me, I'm seeing this slate as a pretty massive stars and scrubs slate if Donovan Mitchell is in. Because right now I'm getting quite a bit of value from Aaron Wiggins, Cason Wallace, Obi Toppin, unfortunately, Caruso at 4,300, Michael Porter Jr. at 4,700. I think Dort is interesting if people are nervous. 4K, shooting guard, small forward eligible. Case and Wallace's positional eligibility and price are just really difficult to dodge today. I kind of feel the same way about Caruso. You got to spend a little bit more for Caruso, but you get a better per minute guy than Wallace. Same positionality, same ownership. So those guys are kind of interchangeable depending on how much value you need. Aaron Wiggins is out there, total wild card for OKC. His minutes can be anywhere. We've seen him go crazy in these situations before. So he's an interesting GPP option. I will certainly take any of Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein that I can get. I do like this more for Chet than Hartenstein, though. And then Jalen Williams. I'm a big fan. Don't have a ton today at 7,800. I do think Jalen Williams is the linchpin of this game if OKC just beats the shit out of them. Like, if this one gets out of hand and OKC covers this one with little struggle, I think it's on the back of Jalen Williams having a big day. But they're live to move their rotation around if they need to. They have a lot of interchangeable pieces. We only got 19 minutes out of Lou Dort last time out. That could easily change. The problem for Lou Dort, honestly, is that Alex Caruso is just simply better than him. So you should want to play Alex Caruso more than Lou Dort. You just don't have to if things are going well for Lou Dort. Hey, for all the Josh Giddey fans, where do you think he'd be playing during this series? Yeah, okay. Anxiously await those answers. So yeah, the Dort push-pull of minutes. I mean, it's Dort, it's Caruso, it's Wallace, and to a degree, it's Wiggins. Those four guys are hot handy now. I think the order of operations is Caruso, Dort, Wallace, Wiggins in terms of most likely to be on the floor. But there's nothing stopping Lou Dort from being out on the floor during the fourth quarter today. Guys, if you're bumping Wiggins for Giddey, you are making a mistake. Riddle me this. When Josh Giddey steps on the floor in this series, what does Nikola Jokic do? FanDuel ownership on OKC before we build some lineups. 50% coming into Shea. 45 coming into Jalen Williams without the Y, the good one. Not that Jalen Williams with the Y is bad. 40% to Caruso. 30 to Dort. 30 to Chet. 25 to Hartenstein and Wallace. About 10 to Wiggins. Josh Gillum, name them. Where are the bad defenders playing big minutes? I'll wait. If Giddey could play over Dort, he would have done it in previous years. Instead, they keep Dort out there and ripped Giddey off all the time. What else you got? Where are these bad defenders getting drowned out there? They're all at home. Tyler Hero's waving from a Miami beach. If you're a bad defender in the playoffs, you better be Jalen Brunson offensively. Two of those guys will essentially stop playing as we continue, more or less. Peyton Pritchard's minutes were going to disappear. TJ McConnell's minutes are going to disappear. Jalen Brunson is one of the 10 best offensive players on the planet. It's the only way you could offset it. All those minutes go away. Peyton Pritchard played 12 minutes a game in the finals. Let's do this. Let's see. Oklahoma City playoffs. Josh Giddey got 12 and a half minutes a game in the Western Conference semis last year across 6 games. He didn't even get to the... They just buried this dude. Absolutely buried him. Sorry, I just want to defend Alex Caruso for a bit. Let's build some lineups, folks. What do you say? Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. The single lineup sim is the tool. I love this thing more than anything because if you like to have a hands-on approach to building lineups, especially during the playoffs when it feels like it matters more, this is the greatest tool you'll ever find. So I'm going to build a lineup for DraftKings and for FanDuel. And we are going to start that lineup with Chet Holmgren, with Jared Allen, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Tyrese Halliburton. This is going to get dicey. I need value. With Obi Toppin. And we'll complete it with Christian Brown, Aaron Wiggins, and Miles Turner. Spent every cent. Here we go. Ooh, 31 and a half. Okay, not surprised there. I'm going to pull Turner. I'm going to pull Wiggins. I'm going to pull Brown. And then, unfortunately, I got to pull Halliburton there. I think that's what's boxing me out. I need a little bit more salary. If I leave Halliburton, I can get... Let me test Jamal Murray there. That will change the structure a bit. Now I can complete on Murray, get Wallace, MPJ, and Mobley, I think I'm seeing. Any better here? Edwin, I don't actually care about the players that are in the lineup. I'm not trying to pick guys that matter to me. I'm trying to build a lineup with high ROI. $59.2. Look, I didn't hit my 60% goal, but we're going to round that one up. So call it 60. Wallace, Murray, Porter, Toppin, Allen, SGA, Mobley, and Chet. I'll take it. I'll take it. Let's check FanDuel. FanDuel usually easier. I mean, there is no easier click right now than Miles Turner. That will be the easiest thing you could do on FanDuel, at least as of right now. So if I take Miles Turner, next man up, let's get Jared Allen at power forward. I kind of want to get Chet there, but that might be too much. Wow, power forward is weird today. I'm going to take TJ McConnell for value. I am going to take Chet, which I think is going to force me to take Darius Garland. And now I need a shooting guard or a small forward. That's got to be Caruso. And then I complete with Mitchell, Nembhard, Jalen Williams, full 60K spend. Give me that 60%, guys. Come on, show it to me. 56.1. Look, I'm taking them both. 2-game slates. We're moving the threshold to 55% or higher. I am constantly moving the goalpost. Schedule for the rest of the day. Laffy coming up next. 2.5 minutes from now, you get Laffy on the MLB Strategy Show. Spags is doing a DK Best Ball stream at 3. Greg will be on MLB Live Before Lock at 5. I will be on NBA Live Before Lock at 6 with Eric. And then at 7, Greg and I will be live on Playback, playback.tv/Stokastic. We'll be watching the beginning of Indy Cleveland, talking about whatever we can talk about for the rest of tonight. Guys, this was good. Make sure you're here for Live Before Lock later tonight. That's going to be about as important as it gets because we need this Donovan Mitchell news. Everything about this slate is solely dictated on whether Donovan Mitchell is starting or not for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Everything changes if he's in or out, and we need that information later. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. It's good to be back, everybody. Nice to be back in my office. Another strategy show in the books. We'll be here tomorrow doing it all again. Peace.